This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
Welcome to the More Than Just Code podcast. My name is Tim Mitra. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined once again by Cristian Diaz in Berlin, Germany, where it's
hello.
6 hours earlier or something, 5 hours later. He's in the future.
Later.
He's in the future. I'm in the past.
Yeah, I miss almost midnight here, but yeah, we have enough coffee, so I'm pretty happy.
Okay, and for those of you who are driving at home who don't know, my relationship with Cristian is we met at Let's Vision OS in Beijing in 2024, which was the first Vision OS conference that we know of in the world. And how Cristian and I actually met was there was a get-together, and so Cristian and I we went to the meeting place we were supposed to go, but they had already left. And so I have a picture of Cristian crying his eyes out.
Yeah, I remember differently. I think I started asking you questions about the big Brave Winter League, right?
Right.
And we were starting to talk so much that we missed the cake or something like that, right? So by the time we arrived, everything was gone. So yeah, it's true that I was crying. It's like I wanted my cake.
Was it the cake? I just thought we got to the place, the central lobby where we were going to meet, and they had already gone somewhere or something. We'd missed something. Anyway, I don't remember. But then we started hanging out. And then the other thing, and I've talked about this before on the show, and I talk about this when I do my presentations on Vision Pro, is one of the coolest things about Vision Pro is doing spatial persona. Now, there's a technical reason why Cristian and I are not doing our personas right now. It has to do with audio recording. But because we spent a half an hour just trying to play around with, turning on the persona and switching to the Mac for the demo and that kind of stuff, which we're going to talk about in a bit. We're going to talk about Cristian's app, Gantry, which is currently in test flight, but it's pretty cool. So that's why I wanted to have him on the show before WWDC. But, all right. So, and we were also talking about his sister, Cristian Diaz, right? Earlier. Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz, yes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most kind of like a more spread last names that must be, right?
It's like Smith. Is it like Smith or Davis or something?
Probably it is, right? It's like but I think, I don't know. I mean, it's cliches, but yeah, Diaz is, you're going to have like 50 pages in the phone book or something like that.
Right.
Does that exist? Do we have phone books still today?
Yeah, I don't think kids know what those are. I was at the museum in London in September, and they actually had a phone book as part of the exhibit, right?
Yellow pages.
Yeah, well, they had all these handsets, and Nokias, and I think in Europe they have different phones than we had in North America, which is kind of interesting too. And I think their phone technology was quite different than what we would have seen here, switchboards and things like that. Because now it's all the same, but back in the early 60s, 50s, it was quite different, right? Anyway,
that's a whole episode, right? We have the teletext, the internet on TV, right? And we have some experiments in UK, so that's really, really interesting. So, but anyways, other stuff.
So, how did you end up in Berlin? Because I think you said you're from Chile?
Yeah, that's correct.
No,
I was born in Cuba. I was born in Cuba. It's pretty common in my generation that you are pretty hybrid mixed between different nationalities in Latin America. My father is from Chile, and then I studied arts many years after in the University of Chile, which is kind of the state university. Is kind of the kind of classical, but in the Impressionism school, French style of factory of artists. So I got this traditional education in Chile, and while I was studying there, we have this workshop with some people from the Art and Com, and Joaquin Sauter, one of the founders of Art and Com, which is a really important group on, I don't know how to even describe it. It's like a digital art and experimentation here in Berlin, science like always. There is even like kind of a documentary in Netflix about this issue with Google Earth and Google Earth stealing the idea from some people, and these people was Art and Com. And when I met Joachim in Chile, Chile is, at least the university was, I would not say poor, but the resources are really limited, right? And to me, it was like, okay, somebody coming from Berlin talking about digital art, and they started to show really interesting stuff, right? The minimalism, conceptual, and the way they were exploring the ideas and the interaction. I don't know, this is the 90s or maybe early 2000. To me, was like, okay, this is awesome, right? My Berlin must be like a marvel in technology. And at some point, I had this comment, right, to Joachim. It's like, this is, of course, it's easier to do something in Berlin when you have more resources than here. And he was like, you're getting this wrong, right? It's like, Berlin is not a rich city. We don't have more resources than you have, and you're limiting yourself, right? And the things I learned in the workshop and the attitude and the things that I get from Joachim kind of like mark my way of thinking from there, right? It's like not doing art for spectators, but instead for users, like open art and interactive art, and working on digital was my thing from that point. And I always gravitated to Germany and to Berlin. It's like I want to be nearby in the Bauhaus. I want to be nearby Berheim. I want to be nearby Art and Com, and I end up here. So it's already 10 years now.
Cool. So you've been there 10 years, and then last time we had you on the show, we were talking about your game Green Sprout that you did with Roxana, right? And there was some.
Yes.
That's a badge for Roxana or for Green Sprout.
Yes. This is. Let me. I have one here. We have like a device inside the game that is really important for resolving it. Yeah, it's not gonna be focused. Never.
There you go. Yeah. It's like a butterfly, or dragonfly.
Yeah, dragonfly, and we call it the Lada pad. It's like kind of like at the time like a Lada thing, and it's part of the game. And we did it's still active, and we have some things to release about, but another topic. It's an escape room, multi-user. For Vision Pro, the idea was pretty much pushing our limits on what we can do on space, on immersive, using all the spectrum and using all the features that we could. And it was as hard as it sounds, right? It's like we had issues in all the places, and that also like it was really useful for us, right? It's like we find out many gaps that we wanted to explore and to use. But the Green Spirit, it was like a great experience, and it took for us from conception to release almost a year on development. So it's like it's something to do.
So you're still bullish on the idea of developing apps for Vision Pro? Like you still think it's a definite place to go, or to build for? So it's gonna sound strange, but it's not all about the money, right? Sometimes, you are in, and I think that's the problem, or maybe the situation, is to say on Vision Pro. If you do something for the Vision Pro, right now it's really hard to do it commercially, and there is barely consumers. Like a B2C is really hard, and for us, at least in Europe, also tackling B2B has proven difficult because industries are risk averse, right? They really want people that comes with certifications and ISO certifications, in fact, and getting there as a small group is hard. So you end up doing Vision Pro as an extension of your products and as an exploration and part of your development. But me personally, I believe that spatial computing, it was already said, right? It's like it's unavoidable, right? That we go away from screens, and I do agree with that. It's like every time I use the Vision Pro and I go back to my Mac or to my iPhone, it feels so constrained and old school, right? It's like why we do this, right? Yeah, I mean, I prefer to work on Vision Pro myself, as you know. Like Cristian and I have a bi-weekly meeting since we went to Let's Vision conference in 2024. The three of us agreed, Oliver, myself, and Cristian agreed that every Tuesday at around depends on which time zone you're talking, but my time zone, 5 p.m. in the afternoon, we would meet together and have a discussion between the three of us. Now it's 4 because we now have Josh Rock from Phoenix, Arizona joining us. So, yeah, and we do a shared space. You know, we do a spatial FaceTime so we can actually see each other. And it's like we're in the same room with each other, even though we're in different time zones and different countries and different continents. Like we're across 3 continents, right? You know, we share photos, we share app ideas, we talk about Vision Pro quite a lot, right? So, and that's a completely unique experience. It doesn't exist anywhere else that I know of, right? I mean, that's to me, that's one of the big money things for Vision Pro, right?
Yeah, so to me, and the special personas is, and yeah, the teleportation, right? Is like being able to have you here, right, and be friends all these years, right, and having you in my living room and seeing your room and seeing you like walking the stairs and going for coffee, all these social cues, right, and how the conversation also flows, right? It's like I can focus and talk with you, make jokes and point, and there is so many subtleties that at the end it becomes like it's completely different and better than talking on FaceTime in 2D. And it happens the same with Roxana, for example. When we started the Greenest Bird, Roxana was living in Dubai, and we did the whole game with these 2 hours of difference and doing the stand-ups every single day using the Vision Pro. And we try to go back. We have the Google work group, and we try to go to Google Meet, even with the Vision Pro. It was absurd. It's like we could bring assets from the game and move them, right, and point and make comments on. It's like I want this thing to be bigger, right, and experience the spaces and things that you cannot really transmit. And I easily would say that it would not have been possible to make the Greenest Bird without being able to communicate on special personas. So yeah, spatial computing itself is it's definitely a thing. It's not just a concept, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I join every Zoom call I can with the Vision Pro. I just find it so much easier to do, right? I'm actually currently working on an enterprise job where I have an enterprise managed Mac, and I cannot get it to display on my Vision Pro, which is so frustrating, you know, because every now and then you just want to have a big screen in front of you, right? But I think you're probably the only person I know of that has done dog fooding your own app, right? And you know, using the Vision Pro and using spatial persona during a working session, right? So it's not the same as going on, you know, just on a Zoom call or whatever. But
you were part of the first alpha testers too, right? You remember how rough
I have some screenshots
was, right?
of the table on its side that I sent him from my kitchen. There was one of the rumors that's been going around. Every time there's an article on LinkedIn about the death of the Vision Pro, right? Tom Kevorkian, he always, you know, immediately replies, right? But so, I mean, and I think, you know, we've talked about this before. I mean, the M5 was a speed bump in a sense. There were some things added. I have an M5. I don't know if you do, but it is subtly different than the M2. We'll see what happens as we start to push the processors a little bit harder. But you know, you and I both know that there's no promise that there's going to be a lighter, cheaper Vision Pro. That's what everybody wants. But Apple has never come to the table and said that, right? And if you listen to Mark Gurman, who seems to be the only person who knows the rumors, it's not till 2027 that we're going to see another round of hardware, right? So what do you think about the death of Vision Pro? I mean, like you and I use it every day, each, right? And it's an essential tool for us. So even if it does come off the product market as a product, I'm still going to continue using mine, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, there is so many points on this, right? It's like this noise cancellation for the mind, right? Being able to isolate yourself, right, and being focused, right? It's like people subestimate that. It's really hard to, and that's part of the problem of the device. It's really hard to understand the usefulness just by going to the Apple Store and having a session with the walking,
or reading about it on a
with
blog.
dinosaurs, right? Or just looking at a video, right? It's like you need to have your device, and you need to have your iCloud connected, and you need to have friends with Vision Pros to start understanding the power of this, right? And that's a lot to ask too, right? So I understand that you cannot ask anybody like, yeah, sure. It's like once you have your computer and your phone connected and projected in your Vision Pro, and you have like a special persona call with some people, and you're working on that, then you're gonna understand that you cannot replicate that in any other platform. So that makes me believe that's the future, right? It's like you can do better things as a fact, right? It's a fact that you can bring talent and learn and train and simulate and do things that also with accessibility, right? When I started with Vision Pro, is to me the obsession was like the amount of care that there was on the accessibility features on the device. And the thing is, like augmented reality itself, right, requires so many sensors and so many technologies to track the world and to understand the environment, that all of that is useful for accessibility. So my opinion is that even if this disappears tomorrow, right, the amount of advancement that we have on machine learning, on scene understanding, in graphics acceleration, all this stuff is gonna bring advancements in any other device, right? I don't think that it's gonna disappear and we just keep doing like nothing happened, right? It's like why we should do that, right?
Yeah, you can't unsee it, I think is the thing, right? You can't not, having experienced this. I mean, I have a Newton behind me here. I remember using handwriting to do computing, back in the 90s, right? And I've not to this day seen anything that would make me, that feels like the Newton felt in terms of like productivity or drawing, or I mean, there's other apps that have come close on the iPad, and like I have an iPad sitting in front of me, right? And it's an M1. It's one of the minute it came out, I bought one, got on it right away, and I other than buying my wife an iPad because hers got end of life and we needed to get a new one, my whole iPad workflow has been replaced by my Vision Pro. I don't do anything on my iPad anymore. I used to use my iPad every day, right?
I think that's a good parallel. When I got the Vision Pro, I had friends like asking me, like, "Do you really use it?" It's like why is this for, right? And my best comparison was just that. It's like this is like an iPad, right? Some people think it's completely useless, and some people cannot live without it, right? It's like I do everything with my iPad because it makes sense, and I think that's what it happens. It's not for everybody. That's fine, right? But for some people, that's the best thing you can have. And again, it's like we have seen this moving a wheelchair, right, being paralyzed, using Vision Pro, and yeah, I mean, also have this kind of like a conspiracy theory about Apple always pushing for healthcare, right? It's like as it did
that's a
with
conspiracy theory. I've not heard that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the name, but I think that the kind of like the AirPods, right? All the push for making the AirPods like a hearing devices certified, right? I think that's going to happen the same with the Vision Pro, right? It's like when you go to the market of eye tracking, right, and devices and assistive devices, the prices are crazy and the quality is way lower. So Apple, if it's able to certify the Apple Vision Pro for as an assistive device, it's gonna be like a revolutionary for many people.
Well, we talked about that guy on our last spatial call. Oliver brought up Christopher. I've forgotten his last name now, but I talked about him on the podcast 5 years ago when he was doing video editing with a click pad on the back of his head. He's cerebral palsy, so he doesn't have motor control, right? And he now is evangelizing for accessibility on Vision Pro because he can use the Vision Pro. He can access his password without his assistant, his personal, healthcare worker, seeing his password. He can totally be in there. He can use the device. He can open and close things. He can edit video, whatever, all that stuff on his Vision Pro. It's an amazing device from that point of view. And Cristian was just talking about, if you don't know, for those who are driving at home, that a couple of weeks ago, Apple announced that, you can now I think in Vision OS 27, persons with wheelchairs, like electric wheelchairs, can use the Vision Pro to drive the wheelchair, right? Which is kind of cool. Yeah. So anyway, And I think we're going to continue to work with the Vision Pro, obviously. But I mean, let's switch gears a bit to some of the other stuff that you've been doing on. You mentioned before we started recording Open USDz, which is some of the things you've been exploring. When I met Cristian, he was the accessibility guy, right? But now he's.
I'm still, so let me do the segue properly, right? Because it's not like I don't do accessibility. So one of the and let me be honest, right? It's like one of the things that were talking to me in the last 2 editions of WWDC was kind of like fading away of accessibility as a topic, right? It was no seasons, like a session, about accessibility on a specific, and less. It was like from maybe 5 to
2020.
1.
2020 was the year that I was helping at Apple, and that was there was a big push on accessibility at WWDC.
Right, it's like a voiceover itself, right? It started in a dub session, right? So to me it was like what is going on, and also I have friends with disabilities, and there is this always, right? It's like a criticism is much noisy than constructivism, right? And it's this feeling that maybe Apple is not putting everything right on accessibility. There is many bugs, right? And I get to this maybe negative sensation that maybe Apple was kind of like not pushing so much for accessibility, but I was wrong. What it happened, and what I think is happening, and what I adopted for myself is that I believe that Apple stopped talking about accessibility as a topic and kind of like internalized as a way of doing everything.
Right. Yeah. Everything has accessibility first, almost. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that you can see in the last dub is that every single one of the presenters, every time it goes to a screen sharing, is describing what it's doing on the screen.
Right. Okay. Right? Yeah.
So you can see that, okay, maybe there is no a session for accessibility, but now accessibility is considered across the board. And that's kind of a great way of seeing it, right? It's like we need the word accessibility for defending and for putting there in the awareness. But there is a point that we should start considering just as a design. Right, it's like it's just part of design, right? People is different needs. You have to design for people, right? And you're at the service of that. So I think that's what I perceive and what I get from the evolution and maturity from Apple, and also what I think I needed to do myself, right? So right now it's like you design, you should consider it, and you can talk about, but it's not the topic. It's everything should.
It should be just part of the environment. Right? It should be part of everything you do. Same as localization, right? 100%.
Yeah, it's part of the same, right? It's like so people is different, and we are creating products and tools for people, right? So so it's not like I'm not the accessibility guy, but it's not. Anyway, so OpenUSD. So and this comes to the pain points, right? How do you want me to take this, Tim? It's like because I can go like 4 hours. It's like how I started with OpenUSD.
Give me the 10-minute version.
Okay, so the thing is, me as a developer, I come from iOS, right? So I started with Objective-C and iOS 5, 6, right? Xcode and interface builder, right? And to me, it's like I didn't live other world, right? I didn't work so much on Cocoa, right? I didn't work so much on... So I didn't understood, right, the criticism of UIKit, and kind of like it was like maybe too weak, etc. But anyways, when you start doing iOS, you think that that's the whole universe, right? And then you develop all the skills related to making things for iOS, and maybe iPadOS, right? And maybe watchOS, and some people tvOS, right? But the thing is, like when we got visionOS, right? It was supposed to be like as iPadOS, right? It's like a switch that you can like a flick, right, on your project, and then you have the project running on your Vision Pro. And kind of, it's like maybe the surface, like an entry level, is that. But then if you want to push it, right, and you wanted to go to volumetric windows, right, and you want to go to immersive space and audio, the amount of things that you need to learn, right, is massive, right? It's like from, depending on your ambitions, of course, right? But from modeling or at least understanding the 3D model formats, to audio, to storytelling, to lighting, texturing, and itself reality kit, right? It's like learning another architecture and physics. And then if you want to do collaborative, like going deep on SharePlay, and SharePlay is not exactly the same as the SharePlay that we have in other platforms. So VisionOS is way less kind of like presenting a JSON in a table, and way more 3D composing and storytelling and other stuff. So that, in my opinion, is too much to ask for the people, right? It's like it's something that, unless you invest the next 3 years, right, of your life studying like a 3D software and everything that is required, and you enjoy it, right, and you're open to not earn money while doing that, right?
Right, yeah.
You are not gonna be able to really push the boundaries of what the platform can do, right? And kind of makes sense, right? Because at the end, the people that is working on the platform are pretty much people that comes from either the cinema industry or the game industry, right? So teams, like big teams, right? You have like people that is working on animation, on rigging, on modeling, on lighting, on storytelling, and then you have producers and art directors, and you have teams, right? And I think that's the only way to really produce something good on Vision Pro. You need different people, right? But at the same time, right, it's the distance, right, from, okay, I have this idea, I wanted to have it on the Vision Pro. The distance from A to B is huge, right? It's like even the most basic stuff, right, which is where everybody stops, which is like, I want my model, I want to make a cube with a pink texture, and I want my cube in a window, right, on the Vision Pro. That should be easy to do, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not, right? In my opinion, it's not. And I think, it's because we are still figuring out how to do it, right? We are in a convergence. So the thing is, while we were doing the game of the Green Spurt, we got all these problems, and we had to do all what I'm mentioning, right? And that required us to understand 3D formats, texture formats, architectures, etc., etc., etc. So I'm gonna focus especially on the 3D formats. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, like Apple early on decided, right, before Vision Pro, right, when we started with the Reality Kit, that the format that we're going to use is USD, and they're gonna extend USD with USDz. That is a way to transmit the USD file, self-contained, ideal for internet, right? People got really upset. It's like a wide USD if you have already GLTF, right, and GLTV, and that's the standard online, and everybody's using it, and it's much easier to express. In fact, I know really few people, including people that work in Apple, that likes USD, right? It's like it's something like USD is perceived probably as an arcane format for Oscar-winning studios, and it's not something realistic for somebody that it really wants to have a triangle painted in your screen, right? So yeah, just as I said, it was great, right? We saw like a really great examples at the time, right? We have this gallery from Apple, and we downloaded the Chameleon and the Tambourine toys, and it was like, oh wow, the textures and the lighting and the experience of the AR was, you could tell that the quality of the modeling plus the technology for placing the models was good. So it worked, so we accepted it, and we considered it as superior just because it looked better, right? So times goes on, right? And now we are in the times of Reality Composer Pro, right? And Reality Composer Pro replaces all the old school AR tooling that we had at some point, which was the Reality Composer Not Pro, the reality converter, and a different generation of tools that somehow never got the opportunity to mature, right?
Okay.
And suddenly was kind of replaced, and it was replaced in a strange way, right? Which makes the people confused about, right? It's like if you were before, now my tools don't do the same, even though they have the same name. And if you are now, what are these tools for, and why they don't do what I expect them to do, right? So part of the problem is that we have some strange tools that do some strange stuff, especially for people that is doing iOS apps, for example. No? So while I was with doing some content for Step Into Vision, we were discussing a lot about like the common pain points of people, right? And the common pain points is like I cannot bring my model, I cannot make my model work as I have it in whatever. People work in Blender. Looks like Apple recommends Blender, kind of, but it's not. I think that Apple uses more Maya and Houdini internally. So the people that is kind of like getting started, open at Blender, try to do something really demanding, right? To understand that, right? People went and did all the donuts tutorials and stuff like that. And they were unable to kind of like translate what they had in Blender to Reality Composer Pro to Vision Pro, right? Over and over again, right? And the problem was like animation, textures, most of the time, right? A scale, the third problem. It's like, is the thing oriented or not? Is big or not? We don't have this solution. And that was number one question, right? Is how do I bring my model from A to B? So to me, and I always mention like that, right? This is like it's like if nobody was owning, it's owning the user journey, right? It's like it's people, what they want is like taking from one point and having the result. So anyway, so not being repetitive on that. So the thing is like we were working on kind of like making tutorials or writing about like why these problems happen, right? And even my understanding was that Reality Composer Pro and everything that was represented in Reality Composer Pro were basically powered by Reality Kit, right? It was an assumption, right? It's like when you have a timeline, maybe you have an animation component behind, right? And in fact, you have components, right, on Reality Composer Pro, and you will kind of like assume that it works on top of Reality Kit. But the thing is like when we started trying to catch what the problems were, is Reality Composer Pro itself behaves differently depending on the shape of the USD that is imported. So for those that don't know, Reality Composer Pro only imports USD, right? USD stands for Universal Scene Description, was made by Pixar, now it's open source, and there's many people working on the format. It's not just for geometry representation, it's for being able to compose scenes, right? It's like a bit to have like a multiple instances of models working at the same time with different illumination and quality, etc. So Reality Composer Pro only allows to import this format in all the flavors. There are different flavors: USD, USDC, USDA, and USDz, right? But USD at the end of the day, right? We can talk about the specificities of those, but that's part of the strength, but at the same time requires you to understand all I'm saying, right? It's right now, you kind of need a workshop or a PhD on USD just for putting something inside Reality Composer Pro, right? Which, in my opinion, should not be, right? It's like that's not the spirit, right? So the thing is like depending on the type of USD, meaning like a really small magical things, the animations will work or will not work, and will work on some panels of Reality Composer Pro and some panels that not, right? So it was just unpredictable, and at the end, it's fair that people kind of quit, right? It's like, yeah, this is buggy, this does not work. But yeah, we needed to investigate more. And the thing is, from that point, I started a series of called the Deconstructed series, which is like let's try to reverse engineer Reality Composer Pro and see why it works the way it works. And what we find out is that pretty much Reality Composer Pro has nothing to do with Reality Kit.
Right. That's what I figured. Yeah.
Right. It's not related to Reality Kit. It's an editor and it's a composer of USD scenes. Right. So everything on Reality Composer Pro that you see, except some drawing, is all about mutating USD files and satisfying all the declaration schemas and everything that is related to OpenUSD. So if you think on Reality Composer Pro is the bridge between the people that is authoring USD and the people that wants to bring that to Xcode.
Right.
That is sitting in the side before Reality Kit. So after you create the package and it gets compiled, just at that point it becomes Reality Kit. But while you're working on Reality Composer Pro, you are still on USD, right? So that means like any problem that you have, at that point you need to understand USD for doing that, and we refuse to accept that, right? so it's like a
well. Let me expand a bit on this so people can get a perspective on it, because I discovered this a different way. Was when you first load up Reality Composer Pro from the box, right? If anybody's looked at my Codico courses, there's a biplane, a toy biplane in Reality Composer Pro, and if you bring it in and put it on a scene, save the scene, and then open it in your volumetric or immersive project, and you say run animations, there's no animations, because that particular USD model in Reality Composer Pro that comes with the application doesn't have the animations. You have to go to the quick VR asset library on Apple, get that version of the biplane, bring that version in, because it in that USDz file, which is stands for zip, Z for zip. But inside of that, the animations are defined, right? They're defined on the propeller, and the plane goes up and down when it's flying, right?
Yes.
So you have to bring that version into either you can bring it right into you can skip Reality Composer Pro, bring it right into your project, your Xcode project, and then in your update closure in a Reality view, you say start and stop animations, and you maybe put a button there, whatever. And then magically it starts animating, because, as Cristian says, the animation is an entity that's embedded inside of the USDz file.
Yeah,
Back
that's
to you.
completely correct. And the thing is, I think, and yeah, again, this is opinion, right? I think the selection of OpenUSD as the format for Apple platforms in augmented reality and 3D.
Okay, so back up. So you mentioned OpenUSDz.
USD.
So you're saying that Apple is using OpenUSDz, or are you saying we're deciding to use it now?
No,
like how does OpenUSDz compare to the USDz that was invented by I think it's NVIDIA, Apple, and Pixar made the original definition of USDz.
So this comes from Pixar originally, right? Before it was open source, this is like a Toy Story level, right?
But Apple has a hand in Pixar too, so.
Right. So that's probably reasons that we have people that was part of the development on USD before it was open, right? So at some point, USD becomes open source, right? And there is a consortium and a consortium.
So that's what they call open USDz is the open version of USDz. Yeah. Okay,
so the format file is USD,
right?
Just USD, and the consortium that takes care of the definition and the schemas is the OpenUSD, right? It's an organization, right? And you can participate for free. You can be on the forums and you can pay and you can have like even votes or work on that, right? Apple is pretty active, pushing for new schemas, but the thing is, like, Apple has been active since before it was even open, right? It's like because it was related to Pixar, all the first definition of AR quick look, right? It was made in a schema inside the USD definition that it was an extension that was not public, and now it's deprecated because now we have this public and open source. So Apple has a long story working on USD even before OpenUSD, and now it keeps that, right? If you go to the repositories I'm going to mention now, they are up to date, right? They are up to date even before the announcements, right? So there is some how it's kind of like an how do you call the subterranean water?
Underground.
Yeah, underground water, right, running on this, right? It's like it's not abandoned and at all, right? It's like a huge push, right, on keeping this up to date. So the thing is, right now we have a format called USD that is maintained by the OpenUSD group. USD has this like different flavors, and we have been using them since the Reality Kit, maybe before, right? So that means how many? Say 6-7 years already, right? So the thing is like because the format itself is so complex, right? Because it has to satisfy this craziness, right, of a studio like Pixar, and there are many things that you cannot take by granted, right? It's like, for example, how you define animations, or is physics there, right? Or how is the scale, or what it happens when you have these variants, right? There is a concept of variants, or you have instances of another object and you break that, etc., right? And if you realize now, right, even if we are trying to make it like a entry level, we are already 15 minutes explaining something, right? And that's too much to ask for people.
Yeah.
Right? It's too much, right? It's like and especially in the days of AI, right? It's like, I want this now, right? I want to be able to vibe code my solution. I want to be able to see my experimentation. And then you have competition, right? You have 3GS, right? Or you have Unity, or you have like a Unreal that you can get up and run, right, with pre-made assets really quick and experiment, right? So the thing is like is OpenUSD or USD itself as a format a bad idea for our platform? I would say no, it's a great format and it's way superior to many formats for reasons that people kind of like don't need to know, maybe, right? It's like it's not necessary. So the thing is like then that gets you to the point that if you think that the format is good and Apple is so invested on that means like there is attraction. We're going to continue using it. And I agree on using it, but I disagree that you should understand it for using it, right? It's like you know what I mean, right? It's like you cannot ask people to kind of like perforate cards, right, to understand programming and more on these days. So the thing is, people and Roxana in specific, we have this conversation a lot, right? When we were doing the Green Expert, it's like why it's so hard to make something so simple, right? It's like why so hard? It's like honestly, what can we do, right, for solving this? So our perception is that for every single hurdle that we have, every single gap that we detected, we have an opportunity to construct something there, right? So we feel like this is kind of like a Wild West, and we still don't have like a water pipes, right? And if we want a city here, then we need maybe we don't want more cities. So yeah, but you know what I mean, right? Construction and progress in a place that is still too green. So so the thing is like one of the Roxana was really early on the adoption of AR Kit and Reality Kit. And she had this blog post about Reality Converter. And Reality Converter, for those who don't know, was one of the tools that was offered by Apple when it started with this augmented reality campaign many years ago. It's a tool that initially worked on macOS and iOS. And it was people... in fact, I'm not sure that Reality Converter worked on iOS. Reality Composer worked on iOS.
Right? In beta,
yeah. And that's the thing, right? It's like these tools were always in this beta shape, right? They were not correctly maintained. They were a bit obscure maybe on the errors, right? And sometimes like it would not work. So it's kind of, you didn't know if it's a beta to blame or something else. But the people was really happy about the interface, right? People love it, right? Reality Composer, right? And the way to express the triggers, right? It's like, I think I have the book.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So in Codeco itself, right? And before, right? When it was Ray Wenderlich, right? People love it, these books, right? People love it doing these concepts. I remember teachers, right, doing experiences on augmented reality, right, for the kids, right, and teaching the kids. So it's something like even a scenery, right? Our friends from a scenery have this interface that to me is like also the spirit of reality converter. And at some point, we lost those, right? And to get back to the article of Roxana, this is one of the most popular articles that Roxana had from all times. Even today, right, it's getting hits, right? It's like a people looking how to convert, gets to reality converters, some reference, and there is no documentation. They get to the article from Roxana. And we're saying like, why Apple didn't continue with this, right? It's like right now, if you go to Reality Composer Pro, you don't really have a way to convert files, right? You don't really have a way to even use the Reality Converter anymore, but you do, right? If you can kind of do some archaeology, right, on the developer website, and you go and you find the software, you can still find it, and it's gonna run on your computer.
Well, let me give some background here, because like I mentioned before, we're currently working on an enterprise level Vision OS app, right? And so I have a managed Mac, and there's rules about software we can install. We should go, to the store that they provide us with. We should download, you can't just, in an enterprise environment, you can't just download anything you want. I have Reality Converter on my home Mac, my working Mac, right? But on my job Mac, I don't have it. So the other day, I made a basic cylinder, as an object, and I made it in Tinkercad, which is a free software that I use to do my 3D printing stuff with. And so I made a little OBJ file or STL file, and I wanted to bring it into Reality Converter. I would load up a PNG for the color, right? The base color, diffuse color. And I would apply that, and I would apply some metal, and I would apply some roughness. And then I have a visual representation of my cylinder in the color that I choose. And then I save it as a USDz, and I bring it into Xcode or Reality Composer Pro, and I'm off to the races. So the other day I went to do this. And it's funny because you mentioned, I didn't notice if it was Roxanne, but I okay, what can I use on a Mac to convert this 3D model into something USDz, where I have to apply two or three materials or entities to it. I have to apply a color, I have to apply metallic property, and I have to apply roughness. I think those other two are optional. But anyway, because otherwise it just looks like a purple unpainted box, right? So, which is the default if you don't apply material to a USDz file. Anyway, so I searched it, and of course, but I knew about Gantry, right? And we did have Blender in our little store, and so I started downloading Blender, and it takes a long time to download and install and everything like that. And and I think to be honest with you, for what I wanted to do, Blender was way too much, right? It's like the kitchen sink app for 3D modeling, right? All I wanted to do is take my cylinder, put some color on it, put it into my project, and get back to doing what I was doing, which is writing code, right? Anyway, or letting my AI write code. But anyway, so now and of course I belong to the Step and Division community. So I went online and said, hey, what are you kids doing these days to convert your objects into USDz? And Tom K said to me, I'm a beta tester on Gantry, but Tom K said to me, you should check out Gantry by Cristian Diaz, because he says this is exactly what you want, or use Blender, right? Which I'd already knew about anyway. So that's your lead in to tell everybody in the world about Gantry and why it's so cool.
Yeah, it's so lovely, and thanks, Tom. It's like we are good friends. We have seen each other in all the labs in Vision Pro in Germany. So, and France is doing really well with Vision Pro. We take them like as the leads, right, on development in Europe, right? And even though it's but anyway, so the thing is like if you pay attention, right, what you were just saying, right, your requirement as a user, right, it makes complete sense, and it should be as simple as that, right? It's like I want a representation in my familiar software, whatever it is. I don't want an imposition, right? I don't want to learn something else, right? I'm working on 3D printing, for example, right? And I want to use that for my purposes here. That's not something wild to ask for, right? And it's even worse when we had something that kind of solved the problem before, and we don't have it anymore, right? So the thing is, I'm a huge fan, right, of these tools, right? And I learn AR with Apple platforms, right? So my criticism goes in the way that why we didn't push more, why we don't push more, why we don't have more tools, why we don't keep control on the user journey, right? It's like people should be able to make these things without needing to make a PhD on OpenUSD.
Yeah.
So that's the claim, right? So the thing is, there is reasons for this, right? Reality Composer Pro is great for people that comes from the industry of gaming and cinema, right? It's great. It's a composer. It has a shader graph. It makes sense. Maybe empower it, but by adding features, you are gonna get to a point that you can have your part of the team that comes from the game industry, of the cinema industry, working isolated and shielded from the developers, right? And I think it's the right place to place this software, right? So Reality Composer is great for what it is, right? It's like a meniscus, right, or interconnection between kind of like a creative modeling technical artist and developers, right? It's not so good for doing the whole journey yourself, right? So it's like that means that you need to be a developer and a technical artist, which is a lot to ask for. Now, what happened with Reality Converter, right? So Reality Converter was a basic tool that you drop a file, has support for most of the tools. I can show later, like most of the formats. So maybe we want to express that different software and different industries created different formats for storing 3D, right? I'm not gonna go in detail, but it's the typical thing about the standards, right? It's like every single one has its own standard. and the problem is that it's not about geometry, right? It's all about like having a project, and people have to understand that USD is not only geometry. It's like as a project file. It's closer to an SPM manifesto or an Xcode project or a Reality Composer Pro than it is to a GLTF. It doesn't just store geometry. It has like a whole file structure and things. So that means like it needs some power, right? And if you don't invest on that, right, the Reality Converter would hit the limits really fast, and that's what it happens. So Reality Converter, what it is an interface on top of some Python tools that were developed with the OpenUSD project at the time, right? And it's still there, right? And this is kind of like the open source tools that some people used at the time, and that were really hard to also install at the time, right? It was like you needed Python 2.7, I think, and you needed other specific, and then it was, again, all over again to the point that you need to be so technical that you cannot give it that to a designer, for example, which is typical, right? It's like somebody that's using Cinema 4D. I want you to do this shell for me, and then I have to ask you to go to the terminal and install Python with Homebrew. It's never gonna happen, right? So that created this friction that at some point it didn't work anymore. And silently, they kind of updated Reality Converter with Python inside included. If you go to the latest version of Reality Converter, you're going to see that the tools are inside embedded on Reality Converter, and kind of that alleviates. But it seems like at the point it was already too late, and we are working on Reality Converter and Reality Composer Pro, and it was kind of abandoned. So we don't see an update on Reality Converter for years. The open source tools are not separated anymore, right? You cannot install it anymore, but they come bundled with the system now, right? And that's another thing that people don't know. And the question is like, why the people should know this, right? It's like
so you mean like the USDz convert command line?
Yeah, all the USDz
tools?
convert and all these tools, or USD convert. If you go to the terminal, again, you are going to have installed in Tahoe. And I don't remember since when, but at least the last version of macOS is going to have it installed. So that means so that means like if you are a professional and you have a pipeline, from your perspective, everything is kind of working. But to me, right, and Roxana and us, the developers, right, we immediately ask questions like, okay, why first is so difficult, and second is why this is not native, right? Why this is written on Python, right, and not on Swift? Why we are not using metal acceleration or shaders? Or why we don't have this on iOS, right? Why we cannot do this on Vision Pro? Do I have a need for converting files on Vision Pro? Yes, I have, right? And now that we have iPads that have M5s, right? And you have Final Cut running on an iPad, right? And it's kind of like a Apple Creator Studio. Why I cannot be creative, right? And use these tools on iPad, for example. And the thing is because it has been never developed, right, on Apple side. It always has been a GUI on top of Python tools, and not much more than that, right? So that means like when you have this runtime of Python, you cannot really, you have problems on efficiency, and you have problems on portability and multi-platform. You cannot run it just like that. And the thing is, yeah.
So you built a program called Gantry.
Well, so the thing, Apple did something like called Swift USD, for making the story short, which kind of like a bridged Swift with OpenUSD. It doesn't create a Swift facade, but it allows to use OpenUSD C++ on Swift code, right? And OpenUSD, the project that defines everything on the format, right, contains all the tools that are for diagnosis, for conversion, for everything that the open source tools that we had on Python. In fact, the Python tools are just compilation of that on Python. So we decided to take those tools, and we did something else in between. So our big plan is to have a set of tools based on OpenUSD manipulation. But what we did at the beginning, it was capable of transforming files. It was able to take FBX without any dependency, taking PLI, taking OBJs, of course, right, and GLTF or GLTBs in different flavors, and just converted Snap, way less errors natively, right, sandbox it too, right, and we decided to make a product on that. So we created a product called Gantry, which is from the family of Preflight, which is going to be a set of tools for improving the work on OpenUSD, Material X, and everything related to that. Gantry itself, what allows you to do is convert your files as painless as possible. Just drag and drop as many as you want, right? Multitask, and you have a basic on appearance edition of your materials, and you can export those, right? The big advantage of Gantry is on top of C++, so it's way more performant. We took care of a lot of the issues that Reality Converter had before, so you are going to see way less errors. It handles much more formats, and we work a lot. And if you want to talk about the story, on making it sandboxed, right? We wanted to distribute it on the Microsoft Store, right? We didn't want to have just a test flight or something you compile. It's like we wanted you to have something easy to install, not these problems that you mentioned before, like if you are in this corporate, no, it's official, install, sandbox, certified. And from that point, we were capable of deploying it to iOS. So we made the version for iOS, and it became like a super interesting because you can do like some creative stuff on the iPhone with like replacing textures and everything. You can work on iPad, and just some days ago we released the first beta for the Vision Pro, which all of them have the same features, right? You can convert from any format instantly, natively, replace the textures, preview with some HDR, and export to different type of USDz, right? So it's like just don't get in my way and just give me what I need type of software.
So can you show us the program?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm gonna show the website and the Mac version. So yeah, OpenUSD, SwiftUSD. I'm gonna put these links later if you can see them on the. Yeah. Okay. Great. So deconstructed, and this is the website, right? This is Gantry. It's universal purchase. Of course, we have to give thanks to the storyboards, and I'm gonna give the link later to that, right? Because we have great help on the type of modeling. And yeah, it's a simple tool. What you can see pretty
So
much
you
is that
said
we
it's universal, so it's the same
purchase
installer
for all the
for
platforms.
iOS and for Mac?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. It's
Okay.
it's you get all of them for just one pay. We made it separated internally, but because we wanted to have these different updates. But it's, you pay for one platform and you get all of them, right?
Okay.
Yeah, PLI. Some things I should not mention, but OpenUSD is starting to have support for Gaussian splat. So we have initial support for something of that, but yeah, I did it. And then Preflight, which is the big brother, which is capable of helping you with the issues with the USD. Gantry itself, right, is what I mentioned. It's a converter, and we try to make it as simple as possible. So let me start from scratch, and you can drag and drop, right, or open it directly, drag to the macOS, right click, and open on Gantry. I have a set of files here, different nature. We have this example from Apple itself for the shoe. And yeah, I mean, maybe this one, it was not a good test, because you can open a USDz, and yeah, what I can do with this, yeah, I mean, pretty much you have a viewer, detail. This is reality kit rendering, right? And you have your edition of the texture. So even if you don't convert and you open an already existing USD, you can do some interesting stuff, like you can see the texture itself on that is composing the model from the channels.
Is it an object capture, that model?
Sorry?
Is it an object capture?
Yeah, and
with
you can really see if I remove all the texture, right? This is from the AR Quick Look gallery from Apple,
right? Okay.
And you can see that it has this kind of like a jagged typical LiDAR scanning, right?
Yeah.
So for example, this is one thing I just made, right? It's like I went and I removed the texture channel, right? And I can go and give it a color itself, right? It's like maybe if you want to play with it, right? Let me try to go to the. Do I have something as an image? I don't know. Any image. It's gonna keep the UVs, and of course it failed on the demo. But yeah, I will show it later. But yeah, so pretty much what you can do is manipulate basically the materials. I'm going to show one that is more complex now, still on the world of USDz. So Steven sketchboards has been like one of the things that we have used the most on our tests. They are beautiful models. So, okay, this, for example, is a model that comes from NVIDIA Omniverse. NVIDIA Omniverse uses OpenUSD 2. So this is also like a NVIDIA investing a lot on the USD. But the reason why I'm opening this is like this is a really complex model that is maybe 20 or more materials, and you can work with it like without issues, right? On Gantry. This is something like probably is gonna get stuck while working on Reality Converter, and just to prove how it works. Once you have it here, you can do what is the expectation we think, right? It's like being able to preview it, right, on an environment that gives you the most representative color for what the working you are on. One of the problems working with assets is that it's really hard to get art direction on the color and materials of the asset, right? So for example, if you are doing something for a specific brand and you are doing it on USD or any physical based modeling and texturing, you need to really replicate the light conditions that is going to be displayed to know how it's going to work, right? So we bring this type of things, like for example, if you have like a Peter and Paradise, right? I want to see how these kind of like flakes on the painting of my car are going to look on certain light conditions, we keep that for testing purposes, and then you go and export, and you forget about that. Once you export, it's going to be a USDz. It's completely healthy. And we have some small details, right? It's like one of the things that usually models have problem is that the axis that points up, right, on RightDict, it has to be Y, but not all the software agree on that. So we give some affordances to change that. If your model comes on Y on Z, you can change it so it's correct immediately. So you have some small addition on the quality. And the same for scale. This is similar to what Reality Converter had. Sometimes you get a model that it comes microscopic, and because the base units are not in the right measurement. So if you have this problem and you understand it or you need it, you have the possibility. If not, it's not a requirement. But as you can see, this is just open, preview, export, right? And the thing is like you can convert, right? I'm getting stuck on my own on my own language, but let me find something that is this one is it's a bit boring, but it's one of the typical things that you go to the to get for free on online, right? And I have this FBX, and this is already a USD, right? So as soon as you open it, what you're seeing here is already a USD.
Like previous animation, right?
And we keep the animation. We took care of that, right? It's like we are not destroying the authoring of this, right? So we preserve the variants and animation and all the schemas that the things have, unless you say otherwise, right? This is where it comes. Some concepts like export flatten or export without flattening, and that's it. I mean, right now it's like you go import an FBX, you don't even think about, everything is preserved. You go, you export to USDz, and it's going to work. I mean, of course, let me export, and let me put it on some place. So there is some options here. We try to explain it, because sometimes you prefer having a lighter model than composite. Can I merge? I wanted to merge all the windows. I don't know why I cannot merge it then. Anyway, and you have the samba dancing in USDz ready to be used, right? And I mean, of course, it's like I was a bit, how I said this. What is the difference between doing it easy and making it boring, right?
Right.
So I think I was a bit boring. So base color, I wanted to do that. I want an iteration. Client asked for.
So you can apply metallic and you can apply roughness as well, like we were saying before.
Yeah. Underneath, we even have understanding of material X. What we haven't found is a way to express that in an intuitive and easy way to handle without a proper shader graph, right? But we potentially can express more than PBR. We could express material X. Again, people don't need to understand any of this, right? For you, it's like I want to change the color. You go there, you have a picker, you change the color, you export. You don't need to understand anything, except that if you see here, right, this is more or less 20 centimeters, right, of width, and you know more or less how it's going to look, right, on size, so you don't get as surprised as you will expect. So export it again, and there you have your FBX, convert it, transform it down colors, replace it, and export it once again in seconds without any issues. And you could do this again on the iPhone, right? And the iPhone becomes like a super great because you can create even type of wallpapers, right? It's like we have an option for exporting images that has been unexpectedly fun. You can take like any model, like your sports shoes, right? And try some stickers on it and export as an image. And because it's all this PBR and these images, it's like it looks really great. I have some screenshots on that. I will share it. But that pretty much it is, right? It's like it's just a get out of my way type of product. And yeah, it's like a tool, so you don't have to even mention all the things that we are talking about, right? It comes from this format, has the size. So we try to surface what we think can be useful for you to express, what is the origin and what is the result of what you're working on and what it is. So, yeah.
Cool.
Ask me questions.
Ask your questions. Well, no, it looks great. I mean, and it's gonna be like a one-time purchase kind of thing, or what's the plan with it?
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, this is about like how you make money, right? On these things, right? So you don't, right? So the answer is you don't make money, right? We decided to put it on the high end of impulsive buying, right? So it's impulsive $9, but that's it, right? It's like a one-time purchase. All the platforms, and the reason why we do that is because we are pushing more tools on this, right? It's like the people that is gonna use Gantry, we want them to start familiarizing that, okay, there is something on USD that we need better tooling here. We need to fill the gaps, right? And once we release pre-flight, we are still working the details, but the people that purchase Gantry is going to have some pre-flight is going to be subscription model because it's a professional tool, and we're going to give some months probably for the people that purchase Gantry. But Gantry itself is so first it's honest in the sense that we are not giving it for free or open source, because there is a lot of value of what we do on OpenUSD level, right? There is many commercial things that also we want to release in that sense of responsibility too, right? It's like a long-term support. We want to make it sustainable, right? So it's not like when we released the Green Expert, for example, we did it for free, and we did it because it's our exploration and our playground, right? And we did know that was the way and what it expressed. But when you make this type of development and you want to keep it, right? We have this ambitious plan of we are going to release a set of tools. We want to have it, as a sustainable business. So yeah, our plan on OpenUSD is big. Gantry is $9, but we give away all the platforms, so it's just like a kind of a compromise, right? Like we are not going to get rich on that, but at the same time, it's like this is serious, and we're gonna give the proper support. If you go, you have the manual, you have the documentation. We have been releasing updates. We have been following the bugs, right? And we are fighting.
Today it's just test flight, right? It's not on the App Store.
No, sorry,
yet?
the test flight is only Vision Pro. Everything else is already available for already 3-4 weeks. Yeah, you can purchase it on the Mac App Store or iPhone App Store. It's like they are different, and maybe this is something to mention, right? It's like we try to give away some promo codes, and the promo codes have to be per store. So we are unable to give one promo code that is universal.
Everybody, yeah. Oh, really?
But yeah.
Wait, so if you give somebody a promo code on Mac, can they download after they've done the promo code? Can they download it version on?
They should, right? But we didn't have that test still.
So the only way to get it is to pay for it, right?
Yeah, it's a strange thing. It's probably like a family sharing. But if you purchase the product, it's gonna be all the platforms, and that's the compromise, right? And that's also part of what we mentioned at the beginning, right? It's like we believe that Vision Pro is it's fundamentally different. We have to make some changes on the interface for Vision Pro, and we can do things that we cannot really do in other platforms are not so valuable, like for example SharePlay, right? It's like if I want to show this model for different people, put it on immersive and represent it on real time. That's a good
question.
Right?
I have a quick question about SharePlay, actually. Just again, something I was thinking about the other day. Is SharePlay available on every app on Vision Pro, or do you have to do something in your project to make it work?
Yeah. So as of Vision OS 26, is available by default, but if you don't enable as a developer proper support for SharePlay, it's going to be displayed as a 2D window.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So it's going to be a flat window with an image streaming
So
your app.
how does somebody make it like an interactive app? Is that a lot of work or?
Depends the level. You contact us and we can help you. But yeah, so there is different levels, right? So you have to do some things on the window level, right, on the app. You have to add some modifiers, and then you need to control the session itself, right, depending on what you're doing. And if you go to immersive and personas, you have another set of settings. That's easy. Then the interaction, you need yourself to track the passing the custom data with the messenger.
Back and forth,
And that means like who is the owner, who is not, and kind of conflicts. So that's part of the work that we do too, right? It's like a sharp.
No, I was just curious because the other day I was making an app and I was in an environment with multiple devices and I wanted to share, and all I could do was share my view, right? So
yeah, there is a new sample code of SharePlay. I will send you the link so you can put it.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah,
which is a consolidation, right? Because the problem right now, or before the sample project, was that everything is scattered, right? There is some knowledge on iOS in a drawing app. There is some knowledge on making a game for this, and some knowledge for the special personas. And mixing all of them, the sample codes were really different, right? So almost anybody was able to make it, right? Right now we have better consolidation and expect improvements, right? Because SharePlay is one of the best things of Vision Pro, right? So I expect improvements on the next update in next week.
All right. Well, I don't know I know it's late for you. I don't know if you want to stick around for a bit more, or do you want to call it a day?
Let's do a closure so you have material for editing. I don't know.
Okay.
How it's for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cristian, thanks for coming on the show as always. And so if people want to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
Yeah. So if you want the product, go for Gantry. If you want to contact us as a team, we are Reality Check. We are reality2713.com. If you wonder why we are 2713, it's a secret, but it's pretty much the UTF code for the check. So we are Reality Check in UTF. So you can tell that we are geeky nerds, but pretty much our mission is we are tool makers, right? Every time we try to do something, we always get to this position that we need to solve a problem. We need to be at service. We need this to be used, right? It's like it's every time that we cannot avoid that. So that's why we are confronting it now directly. We want to make this set of tools. We invested a lot. We have plans for releasing. We have an open source effort in parallel, right, where we are documenting all this, plus some solutions that already can be adopted called Swift USD shell. We are gonna publish more on social soon, and we are gonna have a commercial SDK for people that is willing to implement this internally, right, in their own apps, right? It's like, what about if instead Gantry, I do want to have the material editor in my app, what I have to do, right? And the answer is not easy, but we are trying to make it as painless as possible.
Okay, cool. And you're on Blue Sky, you're El Crano?
Yeah, I'm El Crano everywhere.
With a K. With a K.
Yeah, and that's university things that maybe I should. Too late, probably for me. But yes, I'm El Crano. I'm the founder of the Visionless Developer Group on LinkedIn. You can find me in every social. Blue Sky is my main driver with Mastodon. I went back to Twitter because, many countries don't even use Mastodon or Blue Sky,
really?
Right? And it's fair. We publish some stuff in YouTube and Threads. Threads, we don't have any impact. Funny enough, it's like we are not popular in Threads. We didn't crack the algorithm. And we are trying to balance or kind of like expressing what we are doing more clearly on socials, right? It's like be better at marketing.
Marketing. Yeah. That's pretty much what I am on currently on most of the things. Anyway, my name is Tim Mitra, TIMMITRA. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Mastodon, not LinkedIn because I don't use that handle on LinkedIn, and I am that on Threads and Instagram. So maybe that's why. I think Instagram is the sauce, right? So,
Yeah.
but all right. And so until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Adios.
This has been another episode of the More Than Just Code podcast. If you want to find out more about the show, you can visit the More Than Just Code website at morethanjustcode.com. There you can find a summary and show notes of each episode. We list links to the apps, code, and news that we mentioned on the show. If you like the podcast, tell your friends, leave a comment on the website, or write a review on iTunes. And please recommend us in your favorite podcatcher. All of these things help others find out about the show. We really appreciate your help with spreading the word. We'd love to hear from you, so use the hashtag AskMTJC and we may mention you on the show. Friends of the show can also join us on the podcast Slack channel. Please consider supporting the show by pledging any amount on patreon.com/MTJC. Every dollar pledged helps a lot. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Adios. Yeah. Now it's the after show, but I was thinking I'd probably have a recording from earlier with us trying to vision the personas. Maybe I'll put that in the after show.
Yeah, it's like the failures, right?
Blooper reel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll let you get to bed because I know it's late, and I didn't get much.
Yeah, I mean
it's a lot.
Nuts,
I mean, like you're right about the amount of work. I mean, that's the one thing that I try to impress on people when you're talking about Vision Pro is like, why aren't there games? Why aren't there this? And why aren't there that? It's because it's a lot of work. You need to know a lot of skills to basically build something, right? And unless you're like me and you're like already doing a lot of different things, you won't know, right?
And also that makes the budgets go crazy, right? It's like unpredictable, right? It's like, I want to do this. How much is gonna be? And you are like, go from to, and how long is gonna take?
Yeah, how long is a piece of string, right?
Right. So okay, then I send you that, and thanks again, Tim. It's much appreciated on that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to get this one out. I'm going to get this up pretty quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't see each other before Dub, right? So, or do we have one more call? Do we?
No, it's during the week of Dub, I think, right? Because we just had one this last week. So this Tuesday we won't meet, and then next Tuesday.
I think we're
next Tuesday is Dub. Next Tuesday is Dub.
Is it? It's not the Wednesday?
Well, wait a minute. Let me see. I have a calendar. I can look. See. Yeah, so FaceTime is on the 7th. No, it's the week before Dub, right?
Mm-hmm.
When is Dub? Why is not on my calendar?
11. Let me check my calendar.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at July. That's why. Sorry. Let me take that back. Yeah, so we meet on
the keynote is the 8th. The 8th of June.
Right. Yeah. So the next FaceTime would have been on the 9th. So we're not going to do a FaceTime, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah.
I am doing another more than just code, one more last more than just code on the 10th, and then I'll have to put it aside for.
Yeah, I'm super happy for you, Tim.
Yeah.
Super
Well,
cool.
and now the imposter syndrome is kicking in because.
I mean, how is it? It's like you either are. How is it? It's you either have the imposter syndrome, or you are a real imposter, right?
Yeah.
Like
really?
It's like people without imposter syndrome are just the worst. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Adios.